I am Dorothy Williams. I am 72 years old and I have learned that blood isn't thicker than water. It is just significantly harder to scrub out of the carpet. I gave them a life worth $2 million built with my own sweat and backbone. And in return, they tried to book me into a $200 a night state-run asylum. They looked at me and saw a grieving, helpless widow losing her grip on reality. They didn't know I actually hold the deed to the very ground they walk on, and the company they are trying to steal it with. By Friday morning, they will be defendants, and I will be the star witness. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from, or what time it is for you. I sat at the head of a table that cost more than my first 3 Buicks combined. They call this room the dining conservatory, but it felt more like a surgical theater. The walls were floor-to-ceiling glass, cold and imposing. Looking out over the manicured darkness of Cascade Heights in DeKalb County, my daughter, Michelle, sat to my right. At 45, she still had the nervous energy of a child trying to hide a broken vase. She kept adjusting her silk blouse, her eyes darting everywhere except my face. To my left sat Marcus, my son. He was slicing a piece of rare steak with a precision that was almost violent. His smile was plastered on, a rigid curve that didn't reach his eyes. His eyes were calculators, constantly tallying the value of everything in the room, myself included. Is the steak to your liking, Dorothy? Marcus asked. He never called me Mom. It was always Dorothy. It's fine, I said. It was cold. The center was raw, a bit rare for my taste, perhaps. It's a tartar reduction, Michelle chimed in, her voice tight. It's supposed to be rare. It's the style in Paris right now. We aren't in Paris, Michelle, I said, picking up my water glass. We are in Georgia. I took a sip. The water tasted like minerals and pretension. We wanted to talk to you about the estate planning, Marcus said. He didn't wait for dessert. He didn't wait for coffee. He went straight for the jugular. Michelle and I have been looking at the portfolio. The portfolio, I repeated. The volatility in the market is concerning, Michelle said, rehearsing a line she had clearly practiced in the mirror. With your recent health issues, the hip surgery, the medication, we think it's time to stabilize your assets. Stabilize, I said. Is that what we are calling it? We want to move the Forsyth County woodland into a managed trust, Marcus said, setting his knife down. The metal clicked sharply against the china. The Phoenix Nova Trust. It would relieve you of the tax burden, the management fees, the stress. I don't feel stressed, I said. You're 72, Dorothy, Marcus said, his voice dropping to a tone one might use with a slow child. You forget things. You forgot our church anniversary last week. I hadn't forgotten. I had ignored it. There is a difference. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a single, violent buzz against my thigh. I ignored it. We have the papers drawn up, Michelle said, reaching under the table. She pulled out a leather folder. It's just a signature. It secures the future for Tyler, for the family. For Tyler, I said, my grandson, the only redeemable thing to come out of this marriage. He was away at Morehouse studying computer science, safe from this toxic aquarium. Yes, Marcus beamed. It secures his inheritance. The phone buzzed again. Long, urgent. I need to check that, I said. It's rude to check phones at the table, Marcus snapped, his mask slipping for a fraction of a second. I'm an old woman, I said, reaching into my pocket. I'm allowed to be rude. I pulled out the old smartphone. It wasn't the latest model, but it worked. The screen was bright in the dim room. One new message. Unknown number. I opened it. Run. Do not speak. Go now. I stared at the words. The font was large, stark against the white background. Who is it? Michelle asked, craning her neck. Spam. I lied. My heart hammered against my ribs. It wasn't a flutter. It was a kick. Adrenaline, cold and sharp, flooded my system. I knew that sensation. I was a structural engineer for 40 years. I knew the sound of a support beam cracking before the building came down. This was that sound. Dorothy. The papers, Marcus pressed, sliding the leather folder across the glass. I looked at the folder. I looked at the message. Go now. I pushed my chair back. The sound was a screech of wood on marble that made Michelle flinch. Where are you going? Marcus demanded. My pills, I said, clutching my chest. I left my blood pressure medication in the truck. I feel lightheaded. Michelle can get them, Marcus said instantly. Michelle, go get her pills. No, I barked. The volume surprised them. I lowered my voice, adding a tremor to it. No, I have a specific system. The bottles look alike. She'll get the wrong one. I need to do it. I stood up. I swayed slightly, faking a dizziness I didn't feel. Just give me a moment. I'll come right back. I'll come with you. Michelle started to rise. Sit down, Michelle, I said. Let a woman have some dignity. I just need air and a pill. I turned my back on them. I didn't run. Running implies guilt. Running implies panic. I walked with the slow, deliberate shuffle of the geriatric invalid they thought I was. I crossed the vast, echoing foyer. I opened the heavy front door. The night air hit me crisp and clean. I walked down the long lit path to my truck. It was a 10-year-old heavy-duty pickup, a beast of steel and diesel that looked out of place next to their German luxury sedans. I opened the door and climbed in. I shut the door. I did not start the engine. I sat in the dark cab. I locked the doors. I didn't put the key in the ignition. If I started it, the headlights would flash, the engine would roar, and they would look out the window. I released the parking brake. The driveway was on a slight incline. I let the truck roll backward silently, tires crunching softly on the gravel, drifting into the shadows of the massive oak trees that lined their property. I stopped 50 yards down the road, hidden by the foliage in the night. I waited. What are you doing, Dorothy? I whispered to myself. You're paranoid. It's a prank text. 2 minutes passed. The house remained quiet. Then I saw the lights. They didn't use sirens. They didn't use flashers. A county sheriff's cruiser turned onto the private drive, rolling silently, blacked out, as they call it. It pulled up right to the front door. My breath caught in my throat. 2 deputies got out. They were big men, their hands resting near their belts. They walked up the steps. I watched through the windshield. I saw the front door open before they even knocked. Marcus stood there. I expected to see him panicked. I expected to see him confused. Instead, he stepped aside and waved them in. He was gesturing, pointing toward the dining room, then toward the front yard. He looked relieved. He looked like a customer whose delivery had finally arrived. I watched them talk. Michelle appeared in the doorway behind him, wringing her hands. She pointed down the driveway toward where my truck had been parked. The deputies turned. They scanned the darkness with flashlights. The beams cut through the night, sweeping over the bushes, missing my truck by 10 feet. They went back inside. They hadn't come to arrest a burglar. They hadn't come for a fire. They had come for me. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. They are trying to 5,150 you. Involuntary psych hold. Get out. I stared at the screen. 5,150. The code for a person who is a danger to themselves or others. A 72-hour psychiatric hold. If they took me tonight, if they dragged me out of that house, confused and agitated, I would be in a locked ward by morning. And while I was locked up, Michelle would have power of attorney, the signature they wanted. They wouldn't need it. They would become my legal guardians. I put the key in the ignition. I didn't care about the noise anymore. I turned it. The diesel engine roared to life, a defiant growl in the silent neighborhood. I threw it into gear and hammered the accelerator. I didn't look back. I drove for 40 minutes, putting the city of DeKalb far behind me. I didn't go to my house immediately. I drove to a truck stop off the interstate, a place where big rigs idled and nobody asked questions. I parked in the back row. I needed information. I dialed the unknown number. Hello, a whisper. Tyler, I asked. The voice was unmistakable. Grandma, he sounded terrified. Grandma, are you safe? Did you get away? I'm safe, honey. I'm in the truck. Tyler, what the hell is going on? I'm so sorry, Grandma, he sobbed. I hacked the home automation, the Alexa units. You what? I was worried. Mom was acting weird on the phone about my tuition. She said funds were tight. That didn't make sense. You always said the trust was solid. So I logged into their home network. I've been listening to the audio logs. My chest tightened. What did you hear, Tyler? Tonight was a setup, he said, his voice trembling. They planned it for weeks. The dinner, the argument. Marcus was going to provoke you, get you yelling. Then he was going to call 911 and say you were having a psychotic break. He practiced the call. Grandma, he practiced crying. I closed my eyes. I could see Marcus's face, the cold calculation. Why? I asked. Why do this? The money, Tyler said. Grandma, you need to check your accounts. The main investment account. I think it's gone. That's impossible, I said. It's a secured account. 2-factor authentication. Check it, he begged. Please. I pulled my laptop out of the bag I kept behind the seat. I tethered it to my phone. My hands were shaking, not from age, but from rage. I navigated to the Fidelity portal. Username, DW_Williams72. Password, Raymond's birthday. The screen loaded. I stared at the balance. $12.40. I blinked. I refreshed the page. $12.40. $900,000 gone. My liquid assets, the money I had saved for 30 years, the money for the taxes, the money for Tyler's future. It's gone. Tyler, I whispered. The inside of the truck felt very small and very cold. Look at the history, he said. Where did it go? I clicked the tab. A series of transfers. $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, all to an entity called Phoenix Nova Networks, authorized by power of attorney. The transaction log read, power of attorney. I never gave them power of attorney. Then I remembered, 6 months ago, the hip replacement surgery. I was under the room was spinning. Marcus had come in with a stack of papers. Just insurance forms, Dorothy, just for the hospital billing. Sign here and here. I had signed my own execution warrant while high on painkillers. They emptied it, I said, my voice hollow. They took it all. Grandma, you have to call the police, Tyler said. No, I said. The shock was fading, replaced by a cold, hard clarity. The police just tried to arrest me at their house. If I go to the cops now, Marcus shows them that power of attorney document. He says I'm confused, that I authorized the transfers, that I'm senile. It's his word against a crazy old woman. Then, what do? We don't do anything, I said. I do something. Grandma Tyler, listen to me. Do not tell them you warned me. Do not let them know, Act normal. Can you do that? I think so. Good boy. I'm going to fix this, but I need to go dark. I hung up. I sat in the truck stoplight, looking at the $12.40 on the screen. They thought they had stripped me bare. They thought they had taken my weapon, but they had made a mistake, a fatal calculation error. They stole the cash, but they left the land. I didn't sleep. I drove back into town as the sun came up, parking 3 blocks away from the SunTrust Bank branch on Auburn Avenue. This was where the transfers had originated. I waited for the doors to unlock at 9 a.m. I was the first one through the glass doors. I walked straight to the manager's office. The placard on the door read, Kevin S. Miller. I didn't knock. I pushed the door open. Kevin was young, maybe 30, with a suit that was too blue and a haircut that cost too much. He looked up, startled. Ms. Williams, he said. Do you have an appointment? Where is it? I slammed the laptop onto his desk. $900,000. Where is it? Kevin stood up, smoothing his jacket. Ms. Williams, please lower your voice. If this is about the transfers to Phoenix Nova, we've already discussed this with your daughter. You didn't discuss it with me, I snarled. I am the account holder. We have a durable power of attorney on file, Kevin said, his voice practicing that calm, de-escalating tone they teach in corporate seminars. It grants Michelle Williams and Marcus Thompson full access to your accounts. The transfers were legal. Legal. I laughed, a harsh barking sound. It was theft. I want you to freeze it. Freeze the Phoenix Nova account right now. Kevin sighed. He typed something into his computer. Ms. Williams, I can't freeze an account based on a verbal request, especially when the POA is valid. Furthermore, he turned the screen so I could see it. The Phoenix Nova account is empty. My knees almost buckled. I grabbed the edge of the desk. What? The funds were moved, Kevin said. Yesterday, a wire transfer. It cleared this morning. Moved where? I can't disclose that information. It went to an outside institution. The account here is closed. You let them take it, I whispered. You watched them rob me and you held the door open. Security, Kevin said, pressing a button under his desk. 2 uniformed guards appeared at the doorway. Ms. Williams is leaving, Kevin said, sitting back down. Ms. Williams, please don't come back without a legal representative. You're upsetting the customers. I looked at him. I looked at the guards. I saw the pity in their eyes. They saw a confused, angry old woman shouting about money. She probably imagined. I walked out. I didn't fight. I let them escort me to the sidewalk. I stood on the concrete, the morning sun glaring in my eyes. The false hope of catching the money at the bank was gone. It was a dead end. I needed a bigger hammer. Jeremiah Roth's office was not in a glass tower. It was in a squat brick building in the old 4th Ward, sandwiched between a bail bondsman and a soul food restaurant. The sign above the door was hand-painted and peeling. J. Roth, attorney at law. I walked in. The waiting room smelled of stale cigar smoke and lemon pledge. The receptionist was a woman named Doris who looked like she could bench press a Buick. He's eating lunch, Doris said without looking up from her crossword puzzle. Tell him Dorothy Williams is here, I said. Tell him the building is falling down. Doris paused. She looked at me over her glasses. She picked up the phone. She's here. She buzzed the door. Jeremiah Roth was sitting behind a desk buried under avalanches of paper. He was a large man, shaped like a barrel, with suspenders. He was eating a pastrami sandwich with one hand and holding a litigation file with the other. Dorothy, he grunted, chewing. You look like hell. Did you get hit by a train? My daughter, I said, sitting in the client chair. The leather cracked under me. My daughter hit me. Roth swallowed. I thought Michelle was the golden girl, real estate mogul. She's a thief, I said. She and Marcus, they cleared the Fidelity account. $900,000. Gone. Roth stopped chewing. He put the sandwich down. How? Power of attorney. I signed it when I was on painkillers for the hip surgery. Roth closed his eyes and pinched the bridge of his nose. Dorothy, I told you 10 years ago, never sign anything without me. Why do you pay me a retainer if you're going to sign legal suicide notes? I trusted them, I said. They're family. Family is who you give gifts to, not keys, Roth growled. Okay, so, the cash is gone. We sue. We file criminal charges. It'll take 2 years, but we'll get them. I don't have 2 years, I said. They tried to have me committed last night. They sent the sheriff for a wellness check. If I don't act fast, I'll be in a padded room, and they'll have everything. Roth's eyes opened. They were dark, intelligent, and very angry. They tried to 5,150 you. Yes, that changes things, Roth said. He pulled a yellow legal pad toward him. That's an act of war. What do they want? Why the rush? The land, I said. The Woodland Preserve in Forsyth County. 500 acres. They want me to put it in a trust. They call it the Phoenix Nova Trust. Roth froze. He looked up at me. Dorothy, stop. Phoenix Nova. Yes, why? I know that name, Roth said. He started digging through a stack of files. I'm working a divorce case. Nasty business. The husband tried to hide assets in a shell company. We tracked the formation agent. He pulled out a file. He flipped it open. Phoenix Nova Networks. Registered in Delaware 3 months ago. The registered agents are hidden, but the formation attorney is a woman named Stevens. Stevens, I said. That's the lawyer they want me to meet on Friday. Stevens is a shark, Roth said, but she's sloppy. If they moved the cash to Phoenix Nova and now they want the land in a trust managed by Phoenix Nova. Dorothy, do you know what the tax assessment is on that land? $25 million, I said. It was rezoned last year. Roth did the math in his head. He whistled. If you sell that land, the capital gains tax is roughly $3.6 million. But if you transfer it to a trust, there's no tax. Not immediately, I said. Correct, but here's the trap. Roth leaned forward. If they steal your liquid cash, the $900,000, you can't pay your property taxes, you can't pay the upkeep, you become distressed. The trust rescues you. They sell the land, they take the $25 million, and because the trust is in their control, I get left with the tax bill. I finished the sentence. The IRS comes after me for the capital gains, but I have no money to pay it. And you go to jail for tax evasion, Roth said, or you die in a state facility because you're bankrupt, while they sail away on a yacht bought with the trust's money. It was a perfect machine, a grinder designed to turn my life's work into their playground. So how do we stop it? I asked. Do we file an injunction? No, Roth grinned. It was a wolf's grin. An injunction just warns them. They'll pivot. They'll hide the money better. We need to nuke them. How? We let them think they've won, Roth said. They want a meeting on Friday. Yes, to sign the land transfer. You go to that meeting, Roth said. You be the scared, confused old woman. You promise them everything. And then, Roth picked up his phone. We invite a different guest. I spent Wednesday night in a motel on the outskirts of town. I couldn't go home. They might come back. My phone rang at 9 p.m. It wasn't Roth. It was a number I recognized from 30 years of zoning board wars. Carol Vance. Vance was a developer. We had hated each other for decades. I was the engineer who enforced the codes. She was the builder who tried to cut corners. We had screamed at each other in more public hearings than I could count. I answered. What do you want, Vance? I hear you're having trouble with the heir apparent. Vance's voice was gravelly, amused. News travels fast, I said. Small town Dorothy. Listen. Meet me at the 24-hour diner on Highway 78. Now, I have something that belongs to you. I hesitated. Why would you help me? Because I hate your daughter more than I hate you. Vance said. At least you had a code. Your daughter is a weasel. I drove to the diner. Vance was sitting in a back booth, nursing black coffee. She looked older, grayer, but her eyes were still sharp. I sat down. Talk. Vance slid a tablet across the sticky table. 6 months ago, Michelle came to me, pitched a partnership, luxury marina, she called it, wanted me to put up $5 million in seed money. Michelle doesn't know the first thing about marinas. I said, I know, but she showed me proof of funds. She showed me a bank statement showing nearly $1 million in liquid capital. She said it was her personal seed money. I looked at the tablet. It was a screenshot of a bank statement. It was my Fidelity account, but the name at the top had been photoshopped to read Michelle Williams. She tried to con you. I said, she tried. Vance smirked. I did my due diligence. I called the marina builder in Florida. She claimed she was working with Blue Marlin Yachts. Vance swiped the screen. An invoice appeared. Invoice number 4099. Client, Phoenix Nova Networks. Item, 65 feet, Sunseeker Yacht, The Legacy. Deposit, $250,000. Status paid. She didn't invest the money, Dorothy Vance said softly. She spent it. She put a $250,000 deposit on a toy, and she used your money to do it. Why are you giving me this? I asked, staring at the invoice. This was the smoking gun. This proved the money wasn't moved or invested. It was embezzled. Because she tried to stiff me on the consulting fee, Vance grunted. And because nobody hustles the old guard, Dorothy. Not even your kid. You take her down. I will, I said, standing up. Thank you, Carol. Don't thank me, Vance said, sipping her coffee. Just make sure when the building falls, she's inside it. Thursday morning, the war room, Roth's office, was transformed. The desk was cleared of random files and covered in maps, topographical surveys of Forsyth County, deed plats from 1978. Okay, Roth said, pacing the room. Here's the play. They want to steal the land to avoid taxes and cash out. The only way to stop them is to remove the asset. We sell it. I asked. No time. A sale takes months. Title searches, escrow. We have 24 hours. Then what? We give it away, Roth said. I stared at him. Give it away. Donation, Roth said. Section 170 of the tax code. You donate the land to a qualified charitable organization, specifically the State Department of Natural Resources. It becomes a state park. A park, I whispered. Raymond loved that land. He loved the creek, the hawks. He always said it should be preserved. If you donate it, Roth continued, speaking faster, 2 things happen. 1, the asset is gone. Michelle can't steal what you don't own. 2, you get a charitable tax deduction equal to the fair market value, $25 million. I don't need a $25 million deduction, I said. I'm a retiree. You can carry it forward for 5 years. Roth grinned. But more importantly, it means you have 0 tax liability. 0, which means the trap they built, the tax trap, blows up in their faces. Do it, I said. Make it a par. The Raymond Williams Memorial Forest. Here's the problem. Roth stopped pacing. The bureaucracy to accept a donation this big, the state needs to sign off. The deed needs to be recorded with the county clerk before the Friday meeting. We have until 5 p.m. today. I checked my watch. It was 10 a.m. Get on the phone, Roth commanded. Call Henderson. He's the director of state lands. You know him. I inspected his house foundation 10 years ago. I said, I saved him $20,000 on unnecessary underpinning. Call in the favor. I dialed. It took 3 transfers, but I got Director Henderson on the line. Dorothy. Henderson sounded surprised. It's been years. I'm making a donation, Jim, I said. 500 acres, Forsyth County timber and water, prime land. Silence on the line. Then, you're donating it to the state. 100%. Lock, stock, and barrel. But there's a condition. Name it. It has to be done today. The deed has to be recorded by 5 p.m. If it's 5:01, the deal is off. Dorothy, that's impossible. Legal review alone takes Jim. I cut him off. It's $25 million of real estate, for free. Get your lawyers in a van. Drive to Roth's office. We have the surveys. We have the title. Just bring the stamp. Henderson paused. I could hear him breathing. I'll be there in 2 hours. While we waited for the state lawyers, I had to make the call. I had to convince Michelle and Marcus that the trap was working. I stepped into the hallway. I pulled out my old phone. I dialed Marcus. He answered on the first ring. Dorothy, where have you been? We've been worried sick. The lie came easily. I let my voice crack. I let the exhaustion seep into the vowels. I'm sorry, Marcus, I wheezed. I got confused. The lights, the police. I just drove. Oh, Dorothy. His voice dripped with synthetic honey. It's okay. You're safe now. Where are you? I'm at a motel, I said. I've been thinking. You were right. Right about what? The land, the money. I can't handle it. It's too much. My head, it's foggy. That's exactly why we want to help, he said, the excitement bleeding through. We can take that burden away. I'm ready to sign, I whispered. Friday. Is the meeting still on? Yes, of course. 10 a.m. at Ms. Stevens's office in the Peachtree Plaza Tower. Okay, I said. I'll be there. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Promise me Tyler will be okay. The tuition, everything, Marcus said smoothly. Once the trust is set up, everyone is safe. Okay, I said. See you tomorrow. I hung up. I leaned against the wall. I felt dirty, but the hook was set. They thought they were reeling in a corpse. They didn't know they had hooked a shark. At 1 p.m., Henderson arrived with 3 lawyers in tow. They looked like kids on Christmas morning. They unrolled maps. They checked titles. They were salivating over the acreage. Roth worked them like a drill sergeant. Sign here. Initial here. Waiver of environmental assessment. Sign here. My hand cramped, but I kept signing. At 4:15 p.m., the package was ready. Runner, Roth yelled. A young paralegal sprinted and, take this to the county clerk. Do not stop for coffee. Do not stop for gas. Get it stamped. The kid ran out. We waited. 4:30, 4:45. My phone rang. It was the paralegal. Mr. Roth, the clerk is giving me trouble. He says the plot description is too long to scan before closing. Roth grabbed the phone, put him on. Roth's voice dropped an octave. Listen to me, Jerry. This is Jeremiah Roth. If you don't stamp that deed in the next 3 minutes, I will personally come down there and remind the district attorney about that little zoning mistake you made on the Walmart project in '98. Do you hear me? A pause. Then Roth smiled. Thank you, Jerry. Have a nice weekend. He hung up. It's done. Recorded at 4:52 p.m. I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for 2 days. I don't own the land. You are legally a pauper, Roth said, pouring 2 shots of cheap whiskey. Congratulations. One more thing, I said. The power of attorney. Right, Roth said. The Claymore. He drafted a single-page document. Revocation of power of attorney. We sign this now, Roth said. We notarize it now, but we date it for last Monday, before the transfers. Is that legal? It's a sworn affidavit of intent, Roth said. We aren't filing it with the court yet. We're keeping it in my pocket. When they try to use the POA tomorrow to justify the theft, we produce this. It proves that at the moment you confront them, you had already revoked their authority. It cuts their legal legs off. I signed it. Doris notarized it. Now, Roth said, slamming his briefcase shut, go get a good outfit. Tomorrow we go to war. I had one last call to make. I used the burner phone. Tyler, Grandma, listen carefully. I sent you a digital plane ticket. It leaves in 3 hours. But I have class. Skip it. I need you here tomorrow. You're going to be the witness. Witness to what? To the end of the nightmare. Fly into Atlanta. Take an Uber to the Peachtree Plaza Tower. Meet me in the lobby at 9:55 a.m. Do not tell your parents. Okay, I'm on my way. Friday, 10 a.m. The Peachtree Plaza Tower was a monument to excess. The conference room on the 40th floor smelled of rich leather and fear. Michelle and Marcus were already there. They sat on one side of the massive mahogany table, looking like royalty. Miss Stevens, their lawyer, sat at the head. She was a slick woman with teeth that were too white. I walked in. I wore my old church dress. I carried a cane I didn't need. I shuffled. Mom, Michelle cried, jumping up to hug me. I let her. It felt like hugging a snake. You look rested. I slept well, I mumbled. Have a seat, Ms. Williams, Stevens said, sliding a stack of documents across the table. We have everything prepared. The Phoenix Nova Trust. It's a masterpiece of estate planning. I sat down. I put on my reading glasses. I pretended to read. It's a lot of pages, I said, my voice trembling. Standard boilerplate, Michelle said, tapping the table nervously. Just sign the back page. I looked at the document. It was a transfer deed. It moved the Forsyth County land from grantor, Dorothy Williams, to trustee, Phoenix Nova Trust. If I signed this, and if I still owned the land, they would have won. I picked up the pen. My hand shook. Right here. Stevens pointed to the line. I lowered the pen. I touched the paper. Then I stopped. Wait. I said. What is it? Marcus asked, his voice tight. I have a question, I said. I looked at Michelle. This trust. Who manages it? We do, Michelle said. Marcus and I, to protect you. And the money. If I sell the land, it stays in the trust. For your care, Stevens said smoothly. I see, I said. I put the pen down. I can't sign this. The room went dead silent. What do you mean? Marcus whispered. I mean, I said, dropping the cane and sitting up straight. The old woman act vanished. My voice became the voice that had commanded construction crews for 40 years. I can't transfer the land to you because I don't own it. Mom, you're confused, Michelle said, forcing a laugh. Of course you own it. No, I said. I don't. I nodded toward the door. The door opened. Jeremiah Roth walked in. He was carrying a thick file. Behind him walked Director Henderson, and behind him, Tyler. Michelle's face went white. Tyler, what are you doing here? Watching, Tyler said, his voice cold. He stood by the door, holding his phone up, recording. Who are these people? Stevens demanded, standing up. This is a private meeting. Sit down, Stevens. Rothbart, you're out of your depth. Roth tossed a file onto the table. It slid across the mahogany and hit Michelle's hands. That, Roth said, is a copy of the deed recorded yesterday at 4:52 p.m. Williams donated the entire Forsyth County property to the state of Georgia. Marcus shrieked. It wasn't a question. It was a sound of pure, primal pain. It's a park, Henderson said cheerfully, stepping forward. The Raymond Williams Memorial Forest. It's a done deal. Irrevocable. You gave it away. Michelle stammered. $25 million. You gave it away. I didn't want the tax headache, I said calmly. You two kept telling me how complex the taxes were, so I fixed it. You stupid old fool, Marcus screamed. He lunged across the table. Michelle grabbed his arm. You ruined us. We needed that asset. Why? I asked. Why did you need it so badly, Marcus? Because. He stopped. He realized he was screaming in front of witnesses. Because of the tax trap, I asked. I leaned forward. You see, I know about the $900,000, I said. The color drained from Michelle's face. It happened instantly, like a shade being pulled down. I know you emptied the Fidelity account, I continued. I know you moved it to Phoenix Nova. I know you put a deposit on a Sunseeker yacht called the Legacy. I pulled the invoice Carol Vance had given me from my pocket and dropped it on the table. You stole my tax money, I said. You figured if you stole the cash, I couldn't pay the capital gains on the land. I'd be forced to sell or face the IRS, and you'd be there to rescue me. It was a loan, Michelle cried. We were going to pay it back. With what? Roth interjected. With the proceeds from the land sale. That's called Ponzi logic, sweetheart. But here's the best part, I said, smiling. Since I donated the land, I have no capital gains tax. I have a $25 million deduction. I don't owe the IRS a dime. I paused. I let the silence stretch until it screamed. But you do what? Marcus whispered. You took $900,000 from my account, I said. You moved it to a corporate entity. Since you claimed it was a business transaction to get the bank to clear it, and since you don't have a loan agreement, the IRS considers that income, undeclared income, Roth added, embezzlement income, which is taxable. We sent a package to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division this morning, Roth said, checking his watch. They should be freezing your accounts right about now. Michelle's phone buzzed, then Marcus's, then Stevens's. Stevens looked at his phone. She turned pale. My escrow account, it's locked. That's the feds, Roth said. They move fast when you hand them a roadmap. Mom, Michelle pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Mom, please, you can fix this. Tell them it was a mistake. Tell them you gave it to us. I looked at my daughter. I saw the girl who used to cheat at Monopoly. I saw the woman who tried to lock me in an asylum. I can't, I said. I'm just a confused old woman. I don't understand these complex financial matters. Officer, Roth yelled toward the hallway. The door opened again. 2 agents in suits entered. They wore FBI Michelle Williams, Marcus Thompson, the lead agent asked. No, Marcus moaned, backing away. No, 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 no. You have the right to remain silent, the agent began. As they handcuffed Michelle, she looked at me. I'm your daughter, and I'm your victim, I said. And today, I'm the prosecution. Tyler walked over to me. He took my hand. His grip was strong. Let's go, Grandma, he said. It smells like trash in here. We walked out. We didn't look back. 6 months later, the air was crisp. The leaves were turning gold and red. We were walking along the new trail that cut through the Forsyth County woods. At the trailhead, a massive wooden sign stood tall: the Raymond Williams Memorial Forest, dedicated to the preservation of nature and the endurance of family. "It's beautiful," Tyler said. He was wearing a flannel shirt and hiking boots. He looked happy. He had transferred to Georgia Tech nearby. He lived in my guest room now. "It is," I said. "Did you hear about the sentencing?" He asked. "I heard Michelle got 8 years. Marcus got 10. He screamed at the judge, which didn't help. The IRS seized the house, the cars, and the deposit on the yacht. I got my house back. I got my peace back. Technically, on paper, I was down $25 million. But as I stood there, listening to the wind in the trees and watching my grandson smile at a hawk circling overhead, I realized something. I was the richest woman in the world. I had my dignity. I had my justice. And I had the only Williams who was worth a damn standing right beside me." "Come on, Grandma," Tyler said. "Let's hike to the creek. I bet the water is clear today." "Lead the way," I said. And he did. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.